Hey, welcome to the next little training on which I called Why We Need to Learn to Count. So it's about calories, kind of sometimes it gets a little bit of a bad rap, counting calories, even the phrase sometimes fills people with dread, but it can be a really important part of the process that if we learn, kind of almost sets us free, and it makes sure that we can actually make the right choices in the right moment to, lose weight, be healthy, be fit. So counting calories, it's what we move towards, or what it's a good place to move towards, having that kind of PhD knowledge of what we're eating, knowing what's inside our food. And like I said a minute ago, it kind of sets us free. It's one thing that my clients say, that kind of they get to a stage where they don't need to be as kind of counting or putting things inside an app so much. They can actually look at a plate of food and they know roughly what's in there. They know that it fits in with their day, fits in with what they're doing, fits in with their week, and they know that they can still kind of enjoy their food, still go out and still lose weight, maintain if that's a week, if that's a maintenance week or whatever it is. It's maybe one of the biggest things that if we learn, it can be the biggest transformative things when it comes to managing our weight, is knowing what's in our food. But also it can be a hard step to do. And it might be one of the hardest things that we learn. Certainly inside my program, that's one of the maybe biggest steps, but it's an important one. So why is it important? Well, once we get that instinctive knowledge of what's inside our food, it does set us free. A good example is going out for a meal. One of my clients going out for a meal a few months ago, and he was having a burger and chips, and he could look at it, and actually said that he could look at it and he knew roughly what's inside it. He had that kind of instinctive knowledge, and it meant that he enjoyed the food because he knew that he was going out there, but he knew it wasn't going to affect his weight in that week, and he knew he's kind of planned it in, and he knew what he was doing. And we're not taught this. We aren't taught what's inside our food. It's not something that's taught at school. It's not something that maybe our parents know. It's certainly not something that my parents know anything about. So it's something that we have to learn if we want to get on top of this. Also, food has changed. Food has changed a lot over the last few years. And in terms of the quality of food, in terms of the energy inside the food, it's definitely changed a lot. And it's not what it used to be. A good example is pizza. I was doing a bit of research on different foods, and I look at kind of the calories inside Domino's pizza, and to be honest, it was surprising how many they could fit inside, almost like they're injecting extra calories inside the food. When compared to one of the frozen pizzas that we have from time to time at home here, it was about 4 times as many calories inside the same pizza. So food has changed. Also, another thing, BMR, which I'm going to introduce, your basal metabolic rate, which is basically your metabolism, it stays roughly the same through life, and we can't change that very much. So again, that's an important bit of knowledge that we have to recognize. So that kind of moves on to the next slide, which is kind of how many calories you burn during the day. And I've stole this off the internet from whoever this, Modus Energy, whoever they are. So kind of BMR, like I see, your metabolism, you can't control that very much. You can't really change that very much. So that makes up the biggest part of our energy expenditure. The next 2 bits above, we can work on those things. So NEAT, that's just it's a long acronym, non-exercise associated thermogenesis or genetics or something like that. Sometimes I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's basically just all the energy you burn going about your daily life. Getting up and down the stairs, picking up your coffee cup, just doing your general day-to-day stuff. And that's your next biggest energy burn. Then you've got the TEF, which is the thermal effect of food. So it's how many calories your body burns consuming the food. That's the next bit. And then you've got your EAT at the top, which is your exercise, which is how many calories you burn from exercise. As you can see, exercise is pretty small. So what we're eating is kind of a bit more important. So that's your energy balance during the day. So what I want you to do, kind of one of the things I do with my clients, is we're going to work out what our BMR is. So we're going to go, there's websites you can go to. If you type in basal metabolic rate, you can go over there and you can work that out. And again, that's just a bit of knowledge that you need to find out how many calories your body would burn if you just laid down doing nothing during the day. Then we increase our NEAT. So we move about more during the day. We can increase our thermo effect of food as well. There's ways to do that. But also we're going to track our exercise. So increasing the NEAT. Well, basically this is moving more. This is moving more during the day. So there's simple ways to do it. Things like, I don't know, parking further away from the office. That's a fairly obvious one. Taking stairs, but also standing up a bit more. A good indicator of how sedentary you are is the 10K steps. Are you nailing those 10K steps? Are you moving about enough during the day? And that's a really important thing. How can we increase those things? So just moving more during the day, maybe having walking meetings, standing meetings, things like that. Maybe standing up whenever you take a phone call, things like that. They add up to a lot over time. Remember, we're looking for behavioral change that's going to lead us to long-term changes in our weight. So thermoeffective food, we can increase the thermoeffective food, how many calories our body burns eating. Now, a simple way to do that is increase our protein intake. Is a reason why another reason why higher protein diet is good. Our bodies use more energy to actually kind of consume protein. I like the little bit of research there. There's lots of research out there, but protein-rich foods increase the TF the most. For example, they increase the metabolic rate by 15 to 30%, compared to 5 to 10 for carbs and 0 to 3 for fats. So actually, maybe that's in isolation, that one bit of food, it might not be massive, but again, if we increase our protein every single day for the rest of our life, again, that adds up to a big result. So tracking your exercise, tracking your eat. So again, one of my previous trainings, creating your MVP, there's a tracker in there about tracking your exercise. So we can track our calorie burn. We can say, okay, how many calories did I burn? If you track your watch during that exercise, can I increase that this week? If I burnt 200 calories last week, can I increase that maybe to 250? Again, in isolation, it's only small, but we're looking for to kind of all these small things to add up. And also finding your MVP. Again, go back to that previous training, find your minimal viable product in terms of what exercise that you can do to kind of maximize your calorie burn there. So what if, or maybe if you find it hard, maybe find it hard tracking, find it hard doing it. Well, it's something that might take a little bit of time at the beginning to learn. It might be a little bit harder at the beginning, but once you get this, once you nail it, then it kind of sets you free. And maybe just be okay with it. It might take a little bit of time. And again, it might be taking too long to get to this stage. Again, if you think a bit more longer term, I don't know, in 1 year, 2 years time, if you put the time in now, it's going to have a big long-term effect. And that's what we're looking for here. We're not looking for short-term. We're looking for a kind of a wholesale change to our behaviors so we can manage our weight long-term forever. So action points. So kind of find that BMR link, go into that and find what your BMR is. Have a look at your increasing your NEAT, so your exercise during the day, movement during the day, kind of higher protein foods. Again, how can you increase your protein inside your diet and get tracking on your kind of exercise? How can you maximize your exercise so you're making sure you're burning as many calories as you can? I hope that's useful, and I will see you on the next training. Thanks for watching.